I've been riding the bike for a while now and I find the foot pegs too high. I get cramp in my hips and it's not at all comfortable. At the Morini Owners Rally this summer I saw that there was a bike being modified by lowering the foot pegs on the serrations and adjusting the gear change and brake lever to suit. Right, so I've given up. I don't know how Barry's machine does it. I don't seem to be able to get enough clearance between the frame and the exhaust between here. There we go. So even with the linkage on the other side, either the nut is hitting the exhaust, or if I turn it round, the nut is hitting the frame. I don't know. So we are back to the high peg on both sides, and I'll just have to put up with it. Or what I'm thinking is whether there's a way of lowering the pivot points of the pegs to bring the pegs down slightly. Right, so the bolt goes through, pieces there, footrest coming off the bottom here, and it rotates. Not quite square, I've got a bit more to file. So, one pair of lowering foot pegs made, tube fitted, squeezed, shone up for painting, but I do want to weld the ends to secure those. Not sure if I'm going to weld in the ends, but they need some painting and sealing so they don't rust. Happy with those so far. So you've just seen them painted, and now here they are attached. So they screw into the old fittings, drop down, original foot pegs, well, foot peg rubbers on. I don't know if they're original or not, they're the ones that came with the bike, and depending on the tightness of the nut and the bolt, they'll flip up out of the way. The brake lever has just been adjusted by using the stop bolt, so I could lower it down. It's quite a bit longer than standard, and that's it really. So we've gone down, stayed at the same serration, dropped down by about an inch, foot peg adjusted, and the same on the gear change side, a little bit on the adjuster studding just to drop the gear change a little bit. Haven't done it too much, probably need to do it a little bit more. The other thing I noticed at the club meet was one chap had this bit raised up, which meant the handlebars could be turned over to make them higher. But what I'm actually thinking is if I raise that up, it'll just make more clearance for the clutch cable. So with the ace bars turned over, the part where the handlebars attach with the bolted bits now point up, so that gives a little bit more of extra height. It does, however, mean that the clutch cable fouls the tacho instrument gauge, so I've had to put spacers underneath the instrument cluster to rise it up a little, to give it more clearance, although it's still very tight. This was a little bit more comfortable, but so, part 3 of making the Morini more comfortable. I've got hold of some CB500 handlebars, same width as the ace bars, but raised up. I have the longer of the two clutch cables from Medina. With the longer clutch cable, I've been able to bring it through the little hole there against the instrument. There's still a kink, but it feels okay. We are with the handlebars fitted. You can see there's a nice little rise to them, which makes them a lot more comfortable. I've only been up my drive and back on it, but it does make a difference. The instrument console now has the spacers removed, so that's back as standard, and that's why there's room to get the clutch cable through. The slight kink is still there, as I've already said, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was, so the clutch cable ought to last longer. and I now have the clutch and tacho cable put together. They were getting caught in the steering lock. Outside the cart, there is a bit of a loop there, and again, like before, you won't see it on the video, but I have got the adapter in at the end because the inner cable is slightly longer than it needs to be. For lowered foot pegs and the more upright handlebars, it ought to be a lot more comfortable to ride. I'll give you an update when I've had a chance to go out on it properly. Otherwise, talk to you next time.